Nvidia just dropped $105 billion on OpenAI, and nobody's talking about the real reason why. This isn't just a data center. This is Nvidia becoming a bank, a landlord, and a chip maker all at once. But here's the catch: if AI demand slows, this entire $105 billion bet could collapse. Let me break down exactly what's happening in Ohio, and why it changes everything for AI stocks. Here's what we'll cover in this 10-minute breakdown. First, what is this $105 billion deal, simplified? Second, who are the key players: Nvidia, OpenAI, SB Energy, SoftBank. Third, the numbers: 8 gigawatts capacity, 35,000 jobs, timeline. Fourth, why Nvidia is doing this, the bigger strategy. And finally, stock impact: who wins, who loses. So here's the headline: Nvidia is financing a $105 billion AI data center in Pike City, Ohio for OpenAI. This isn't a small project. Initial capacity is 4.25 gigawatts, with an option to expand to 8 gigawatts total. That's enough to power millions of homes. Timeline: capacity comes online in phases starting 2028. SB Energy will build and manage it on a 20-year lease to OpenAI. $105 billion is massive. To put it in perspective, that's more than the GDP of 70 countries. But here's the tension: Nvidia isn't just giving OpenAI cash. They're providing financing and compute power. So Nvidia gets paid two ways: interest on the loan and chips sold to the data center. Smart or risky? Let me simplify who's doing what. Nvidia is providing $105 billion financing plus compute provider. They recently launched a $500 billion third-party financing platform. This deal is part of that strategy. OpenAI is the tenant. They get 8 gigawatts capacity on a 20-year lease. That's their AI training secured for the next 2 decades. SB Energy builds and manages the campus. Nvidia invested $1.5 billion in SB Energy directly. SoftBank is the power infrastructure partner. They're building 10 gigawatts of power sources alongside SB Energy. Grid investment is $4.2 billion into the regional grid from SB Energy and SoftBank combined. Now here's what most people miss. Nvidia isn't just a chip company anymore. They're becoming an AI infrastructure bank. Recent weeks, Nvidia launched a $500 billion third-party financing platform. This Ohio deal is the first major test. Why? Because if Nvidia helps build data centers, they guarantee demand for their own chips. It's a closed loop: they finance, they build, they supply the chips, they make money on everything. Originally they were discussing a $250 billion backstop. They reduced it to $105 billion, still massive, but more controlled. But here's the contrarian view: what if AI demand slows? If OpenAI doesn't use all that capacity, Nvidia is stuck with billions in infrastructure they financed. The 20-year lease helps, but if OpenAI can't pay, who else needs 8 gigawatts of AI compute? Also, regulatory scrutiny. $105 billion from a chip company to an AI company. You think regulators will ignore that? And power supply: 10 gigawatts of power needs to be built. SoftBank and SB Energy can do it, but timeline delays are almost certain. Now here's what Wall Street isn't telling you, because they want you to buy the hype before they dump their shares. Let me give you the honest stock impact. Nvidia is bullish. This validates their AI infrastructure financing model. It's not just chips anymore, it's the whole ecosystem. But watch their debt levels closely. OpenAI is private, but this is a massive win. They secured compute capacity for decades. This makes them more valuable, but they'll need to generate revenue to pay that lease. SB Energy and SoftBank are direct beneficiaries. Construction contracts, power deals, grid investments. These are the companies that actually get paid first. The AI infrastructure sector gets a confidence boost. If Nvidia can finance $105 billion, other companies can too. That's positive for the whole sector. But here's my honest take: short-term sentiment boost is likely. Long-term success depends on actual AI demand, not hype. Now let me talk about the 35,000 jobs this project will create. Construction jobs, engineering jobs, operations jobs. Ohio is getting a massive economic boost. And the timeline, first capacity in 2028. Full 8 gigawatts by 2030. That's a 4-year build-out. Fast by data center standards. But any delay could push revenue further out. The key question for investors: can OpenAI generate enough revenue to pay the lease? OpenAI is burning cash. They need to turn revenue into profit. If they don't, Nvidia is on the hook. Let's quickly recap what we covered. First, Nvidia is financing a $105 billion data center for OpenAI in Ohio with 8 gigawatts capacity by 2028. Second, key players are Nvidia for financing, OpenAI as tenant, SB Energy as builder, and SoftBank for power. Third, 35,000 construction jobs and 2,500 long-term jobs, massive economic impact. Fourth, Nvidia's bigger strategy is becoming an AI infrastructure bank, not just chip maker. Fifth, stock impact is bullish for Nvidia, SB Energy, and SoftBank, but risk if AI demand slows. If you want to understand how to invest in AI infrastructure beyond just Nvidia, watch this next video. Like, subscribe, and comment your take. Is Nvidia genius or overleveraged? I'll see you in the next one.